Welcome to Morbid Horror, all things horror. I don't want to die. I'm not going to kid you. I'll kid you not. I deserve certainly the most extreme punishment society has. I think society deserves to be protected from me and others like me. I have known people who radiate vulnerability. Their facial expressions say, "I am afraid of you." This guy is responsible for 20 or 30 more deaths at least, and there's a certain aspect of possessiveness in that. I think that's one way of describing it in rather bland terms, a possessiveness where the corpse could easily be as important as the live victim, in some respects. I mean, it's that physical possession and ownership, a taking, if you will, that is just part of the syndrome. I think that sense of power and ownership is one of the reasons why I think in some cases, not all, certainly, is why I think he might be individually intending to return to the scene to either view his victim, or in fact, interact with the body in some way. The ultimate possession was, in fact, the taking of the life. And then, the physical possession of the remains. When you feel the last bit of breath leaving their body, you're looking into their eyes. A person in that situation is God. People say, Ted Bundy didn't show any emotion, there must be something in there. I showed emotion. You know what people said? See, he really can get violent and angry. Just like anybody else with an obsession, whether it be fishing, bowling or skiing, he has ways he can vicariously satisfy it. Maybe he is going to peep shows and reading detective magazines. I think there's an excellent chance that one way he gets off is by going to look at what they call the slasher films. In my opinion, the best chance you have of catching this guy is to get a sight with a fresh body and stake it out. Murder is not just a crime of lust or violence. It becomes possession. They are part of you. The victim becomes a part of you, and you, too, are forever one, and the grounds where you kill them or leave them become sacred to you, and you will always be drawn back to them. Guilt. It's this mechanism we use to control people. It's an illusion. It's a kind of social control mechanism and it's very unhealthy. It does terrible things to our body. Sure, I get angry. I get very, very angry and indignant. I don't like being locked up for something I didn't do, and I don't like my liberty taken away, and I don't like being treated like an animal, and I don't like people walking around and ogling me like I'm some sort of weirdo, because I'm not. I'm not guilty. Ha ha ha, does that include the time I stole a comic book when I was 5 years old? I'm not guilty of the charges which have been filed against me. Those of you who have been so much influenced by violence in the media, in particular pornographic violence, are not some kinds of inherent monsters. We are your sons and we are your husbands. And we grew up in regular families. And pornography can reach out and snatch a kid out of any house today. It snatched me out of my home 20, 30 years ago. I just said that the Hawkins girl's head was severed and taken up the road about 25 to 50 yards and buried in a location about 10 yards west of the road on a rocky hillside. Did you hear that? I don't think anybody doubts whether I've done some bad things. The question is, what, of course, and how, and, maybe even most importantly, why? Listen, I'm no social scientist and haven't done a survey. I don't pretend to know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now and I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography. Without question, without exception. Deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. I'm not looking for anything. I understand now a lot of stuff about myself that I didn't understand then. It makes me realize what was going on. The senselessness of it appalls me, although I'm sure not so much as those who were so close to it. I didn't know what made things tick. I didn't know what made people want to be friends. I didn't know what made people attractive to one another. I didn't know what underlays social interactions. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, then please like and subscribe for more morbid horror.